All righty. Hold on. I gotta alert. I gotta alert the troops. Hold
You
on.
good?
All righty. Good morning, everybody. We are Kelly and I are both fresh off. We have conference brain.
Yes.
I think that's the best way to say it. Conference brain.
Conference brain is a good way to put it. Yeah.
I know we talked about it backstage, but as people are trickling in here, do you want to talk about where you just came from?
Yeah. So I flew home from New York yesterday. I spoke at Lead Dev, which is a fantastic conference for engineering managers and up, or anyone who is aspiring to become an engineering manager. Some really good, really good content there. The other half of Lead Dev is Staff Plus. So if you're going the higher up the IC route, also really great content on that side too.
I love it. And then what'd you give your talk on?
I gave my talk on how to identify different types of performers on your team and how
Okay.
to best support them when you can't give them promotions or raises. Like how to keep them
I love that.
motivated.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Good morning, everybody. So I got to shout out Michael Raymond for a second. So Michael Raymond. So this is I love the power of community. And Danny, it's good to see you, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. Pat was also shout out Pat. Pat worked our booth.
Okay.
So
Hey.
like that, it was so cool having our team, just having the community there. So I couldn't get to the booth immediately to do resume reviews, and Pat like jumped in and was doing resume reviews with Jason. So like shout out to our community. It was it was cool. It was cool. But I want to go back to Michael. So if if you go to this, Kelly, have you ever heard of bingo?
Heard of bingo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the game bingo.
Tago. Yes.
Michael has created a bingo game called Tago.
Oh.
So supposedly I say the same things over and over. And so it is now a thing to whenever I talk, you can now log into Tago.netlify.app and you can play bingo whenever I speak. You don't win anything, but supposedly I say the same things over and over and over again. So
Having
shout
been friends
out.
with you for several years, yes, you do.
Yeah. Shout out to Michael Raymond. And shout out to the community. Yeah, absolutely. But again, it's good to see y'all this morning. Patrick, got to catch up with Patrick and Raleigh. Emmett, it's good to see you. Like I said, Danny, it's great to see you. Katie, it's great to see you.
Danny, your headshot's amazing.
Yeah, that's a great headshot. Looks uber professional. Like
yes.
Danny looks like a mob king in the best way possible. Naz, it's good to see you. Chris, it's good to see you. Colin, Amelia, Chris, Naz, it's good to see y'all this morning. Yeah, have you heard of bingo is a wild question? Yeah, 100%. Yes. Devon, it's good to see you as well. All right, so it's good to see y'all. Quick kind of announcements real quick before we dive in. As always, first and foremost, want to give a shout out to AppRight, part of the Heroes program. You should go check them out. Good crew. And also too, we've updated our community site, and it's now within torque.dev. And so go check it out. It's got all the ways to get plugged in. I do have to say 2 quick announcements. We've opened up our ambassador program again. So for all the 50 people that were at our private dinner, I need you to go and apply to be ambassador. If you are an ambassador now, you have to reapply. We are dwindling the list. We are kind of changing up how we're doing ambassadors. So not everybody is going to be an ambassador next year. And so, again, really want to make the ambassador program kind of really good. I think it's decent right now. I think we can do a lot more. So please join. Also, if you kind of scroll down a little bit more, we've officially reopened the mentor program, right? So we started our first cohort the second half of this year. To be honest with you, we kind of shit the bed, right? We didn't do as good as we needed to. We didn't prepare on some things. We've dialed it in. We're going to make it good. We're going to have a career track and we're going to have a technical track. And so if you want to learn about MCPs, we're going to try to have an AI mentor, right? If you want to learn about Python, we're going to try to do that. I would say a lot of the needs and the questions is that I just realized they are both streaming and I didn't know. Wow. Yeah. And so basically with the mentor program, again, we want to do better at that. One of the biggest questions we got at the booth at All Things Open is like, what is the time commitment? I honestly, the mentor is going to decide it, but it just off the rip, 2 30-minute meetings a month. I think that's plenty. And so would love to have you there. Also, I'm using my texting community a lot more. So basically this is my number. If you need help with the job search or have any questions, please, obviously, text me. Would love to have you. If you want to know when I go live, I always text the cities. If you want free tickets to events, I send those out as well through this. So definitely join if you have not already. All right. So, enough of me yapping. Kelly, a lot of people know who you are, but let's give a quick refresh. Who are you? What do you do? And we'll go from there.
That's a great question. And especially after conference brain, like I'm deeply struggling today, but it's fine. Hi, I am Kelly. I am currently senior engineering manager at Zapier. Been here just about 6 months now. I got you've been here for 6 months notification this morning. So I have another survey to fill out. Thank you. It's technically next week, so I guess it's just a little early, but it's fine. We're making it work. But prior to Zapier, I was director of engineering at an AI startup. And prior to that, I was an entrepreneur for too long. So I'm a recovering entrepreneur at this point. And my most interesting fact about myself that people are like, what, how, is that I'm a trained therapist. And I don't mean in the way that like, I ask my direct reports, and how does that make you feel? More in the way that I let it slip in meetings sometimes where we're having this post-mortem review and we're nearing the end of the meeting. And so I'm like, so do we feel like we have closure over this incident at this point? And I'm like, oh God, I really sound like a therapist now. So yeah, I live in Atlanta. I like running. I was supposed to run the Detroit Marathon this weekend, and I am getting surgery next year instead. And I am currently in my fall vibes mode with my pumpkin candle.
I
my
need
first
to buy.
Candle of the year.
I was burning like a summer grapefruit situation yesterday. I was like, this isn't quite hitting, so I need to get a pumpkin candle. All right, so. Again, I never tell my guest a schedule, questions, especially Kelly. We've also had to reschedule this 2 or 3 times because Kelly's like a super busy person. If you have not seen her tweet about her calendar, it's nuts. But one of the things I texted her, I was like, hey, what do you want to talk about this week? And you talked about promotion. I know you talked about at your conference about supporting people if you can't give them a promotion.
Yeah.
I think right now, I want to talk about how to just even get a promotion, right? You're a manager. I'm a manager. We have 2 managers on the line here. I think we can give some really good, practical, tactical, actionable items for people. So what are some things that you think about just off the rip that people can do right now to really position themselves for a promotion?
Yeah, I think the most important thing to kind of kick things off is there are 2 components to getting a promotion. 1, you have to be ready for that role, whatever that promotion is for you. And 2, there has to be a business case to have that role be available. If you want to move from IC to manager, there has to be a manager role available. If you want to move from senior to staff engineer, there has to be a business case for that particular staff role. You can control one of these 2 things. And so understand that I'm kind of like prefacing anything else we say today with that, because you can be entirely ready for the role and ready for a promotion, but if the opportunity is not there, you're not obviously going to be able to get one right now. So we'll start there. Any feelings on that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that's good. I think there's so many ways I want to take this. Yeah, I think that's good. There's got to be a business case to it, right? I think, and you kind of can't control that. What would you say? Do you think people deserve? How do you work? How do you do raises? So this kind of goes into the same thing. What are your thoughts on that? Is it automatic every year? Do you think it only applies to people who are overly achieving, kind of achieving, because I think this is something on my mind as well, and I'm just trying to learn from you, to be just totally
Yeah.
frank here.
My opinion, and I'd call this a spicy take, but it's literally like a green pepper, or like the pepper is in the room and that's about it. I think there should be like a cost of living raise. I
Yeah,
think that is a necessary thing. Are
yeah,
you immediately like obligated to receive a raise every single year because you exist at a company? I don't think so. I
yeah,
think the cost of living raise is important. As somebody who got a single raise over 3 years at my previous company, a cost of living raise is important.
100%.
But now that I'm at Zapier, they do handle raises differently. I don't know how yet because I haven't gotten to that part of the cycle.
Sure,
But I
sure.
do believe that if we're going to be doing cost of living raises, we should then think about how much does that have to increase, or how much should that increase? And that's when performance really comes into the question. So if
Yeah,
you're a really high performer and you're exceeding expectations, you should in theory then get a higher raise compared to those who are meeting expectations.
hmm,
But it's never that simple.
yeah, yeah. It's never that simple. I think it's interesting too, because it's like, also from a budget perspective, where are those things coming from, right? I think a
Exactly.
lot of times too is that you have to understand something. Your managers want to keep you happy, but also too, your managers are probably trying to figure out where those numbers are coming from, where that budget's coming from, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's incredibly important as well. What are your thoughts on, let me ask you this. Well, I'm just going to say this. I think the biggest thing to land a promotion right now for me is, I have a lot of thoughts. I'm all over the place this morning. Is I think the biggest thing that I want to iterate this across the board is, you got to upward communicate.
Yes.
Like, I do not know what my team does every moment of every day. I need to be told. I need information, right? I need, and when we're trying to work on that, we're trying to put in more, stand ups, and trying to get tighter. And I've talked about that in my daily journal. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. But for me, I think upward communicating is the biggest issue, and one of the reasons why you do not get a promotion.
Yeah, no, I would second that. I think we tend to overestimate how much people are paying attention to our work.
That's so
And
good.
nobody's going to advocate for you better than yourself.
Yeah.
And I was speaking with somebody a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about how they were interested in getting a promotion, but they hate selling themselves. They hate talking about all their accomplishments all the time. It feels just icky to them. And I basically told them, you have to, if you want this promotion, you have to talk about your accomplishments,
Yes.
because I know what your accomplishments are if you're directly reporting to me, but I also have a lot of other direct reports. Those
Right.
who are above me don't know all of the differences that are happening, all the changes that you're making and all the
Yeah.
contributions you're making. Also,
Yeah.
hi Jen, love you. That was a little distracting, but I love to
No,
see
I
it.
love it. I love it.
No, like all this to say, like you have to continue to advocate for yourself, or else that promotion is never going to happen. And you have to bring it up. Like, I'm talking about my future plans at Zapier. I just joined 6 months ago, so I'm not like I'm ready for a promotion. I'm
Sure.
not
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that
Read the
person,
room a
but
little bit.
exactly. But I'm like, I'm making my intentions known that this is the next step I want to reach.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start charting the path towards that next step and trying to figure out, what does that actually look like?
Yeah.
What do I need to prove to senior leadership, to the executives, to say, hey, I am ready for this role. And when it opens, I want to be first, like top of mind for you to say,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Kelly's the right person for this. That means I'm talking about myself and selling the work that I'm doing a lot.
Dude. Yeah. Like, and there was, I admittedly can't get into the Torque Discord as much as I can anymore, just with how I'm caught up in meetings and stuff. But like, there's, we have like where you can like work on your pitch, right? You can like write it out. You can like work on your about me statement, right? And somebody, I was looking through it late last night before I was going to bed, and someone was like, why is it so hard to talk about myself? And it's like, for me, I think the people who are getting the raises, getting the promotions, standing out, are the ones that are completely unashamed
Yeah.
and are completely out there just saying what they did. Right. Yeah. Like for me, I think the excuse of like, I get it. We are all, most of us are millennials. Most of us, we grew up in a time, I don't know about you, but it was don't talk about yourself.
Uh-huh.
My parents were like, hey, like you sit there as a kid and you talk about others, you don't talk about yourself. Right. And so like, I would encourage you, if you get anything out of this, the excuse of I have a problem talking about myself, that cannot be in your vocabulary anymore. It just can't.
Yep.
If
And
you
you
want
know how
to
to fix
do
that?
things,
You practice. Like if
Isn't
you
that
want to
wild?
fix that, you have to practice. And yeah, it feels super uncomfortable at first to be like, I think I'm deserving of a promotion, and here's why. Honestly, this is the kind of thing, like, we talk about this a lot for interviewing. You need to practice interviewing. You need to practice the responses to like common questions you might get. You record yourself and then you listen back to yourself. Do the same thing for this kind of thing. It is an interpersonal skill that you have to build. You have to build that confidence, and that comes through practice or high ego.
For me, like I have, I'm trying to think when I was an IC, it was a little easier because I was on the sales side, or like I was being driven by revenue. So like the one thing that you're consistently judged on is like the revenue you bring in. So we had a scorecard, and then your revenue was posted to 500 producers every single week, so people could always see where you are. That did not develop any sort of unhealthy habits on my end. But for me, it's like, listen, if you are not emailing your manager once a month, I'd say, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. This is just my thoughts. If you're not emailing your manager once a month, like, hey, just heads up, here's kind of some things. I just wanted you to know. You don't have to reply back to email. Here's some things that I've been able to do this month. I think that's massive, right? Because here's the deal. There are things that are part of your job that you have to do that are in the job description. And there are things that you need to achieve to do that are not in your job description. I think most of us think we are exceeding by just doing our job description. That is not how you get a substantial raise. That is not how you get a promotion. If I hired you to do the job you do, you're going to stay in the shadows for a longer time than if you are overachieving. Again, I've talked about this a lot in a lot of my talks lately. You have to do the job before you get the job.
Yeah. And the hardest part of this is a lot of companies have career ladders that line up, what does it mean to be a mid-level engineer? What does it mean to be a senior engineer? What does it mean to be a staff engineer? Or you have multiple levels in there. And then these are necessary. Like, these are absolutely necessary to be able to check yourself against the performance that you're doing right now, as well as what am I missing for that next level? The problem is people treat it as a checklist. That they're saying, if I'm just hitting these things, I therefore immediately qualify for a promotion. And that is just not the case. It's supposed to be a guide. You have to prove, okay, you're doing these things, but how does it tie back to the business? How are you advocating for that? How are you mentoring others? How are you actually pulling in, timelines and delivering more value? And I that's such a buzzword, but like it's necessary for these kinds of things, for especially trying to get a raise or a promotion.
Yeah, and I think too, like, I'm trying to think, like writing your resume, right? Jason and I are in major resume review season right now. I think we're going to move the resume review session to every week in the Discord because there's such a push to it.
I think you just bring in Pat to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, we're going to have to do something, because if I can't hire enough people, we're going to have to start bringing in some of our community members to help, because I can only be in so many of them. When you write your job description, I talk about this all the time. If you say, I fixed this, I did this, I coded this, I did this. Okay. That's what everybody else is saying.
Cool.
But if you go, I did this, which then resulted in this, or I did this because this happened and I fixed it, and then this happened.
We're getting so close.
I think is the same in one-on-ones. Like one-on-ones, like I like what Pat said. If you're quiet, don't bring up things in one-on-one with your manager, you're not advocating for yourself. That is one of the first places to start beyond those emails. Yeah, it's like, listen, I try to have one-on-ones with most people on my team right now, right? For me, if you are not coming to the table and saying, hey, here's what we've done, here is what I think we should do. Also, I would love in general for people to go, hey, this is what I think we should do.
Mhm.
Take ownership. I don't know. Maybe
Yes.
I don't know if that works. Again, I'm non-technical. Like everything we do is like events and partnerships. And so it's a little bit qualitative. I don't know if you like that, but based off all of the interviews I've had lately with tech people, pushing back and giving suggestions is actually, it sounds like a good idea. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, with one caveat, and that is
Sure.
if you're going to give suggestions and you're going to give multiple options, I then want you to say, here's why I think option B is best. I want you to not
Sure.
just present, here are your possibilities of how you can
I get
handle the
that.
situation.
I
Here are
get
the
that.
possibilities of what I've been thinking about, and this is why I think we should go with option B. This
Yeah.
shows me that you're also taking ownership and you're presenting yourself more as a thought leader for this particular task at hand.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I actually expect out of my senior engineers, especially at the staff level, but seniors as well. I want to see them take that ownership.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we've talked upward communicating. We've touched on raises a little bit. Cost of living, I think, needs to happen, I think, across the board.
Yeah.
Mind you, raises. So I think cost, okay. I want to see if this is right. Cost of living means you're doing your job.
Mhm.
Raises and or promotions are going above and beyond your job.
Yes.
Is that
That's the way
statement accurate?
I think it's a gross oversimplification of it. Like obviously everything's nuanced, but yes, generally speaking, cost of living raises. If you're doing your job, you absolutely should be getting that. And you might see like a little bump here and there, obviously, just to keep up with like you're doing more. But like you should absolutely be getting a larger raise if you're going above and beyond.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. All right, upward communicating. Talked about raises. What else are we missing here? Anything else?
One thing that I will also add is if your company has some sort of structured process to submit for a promotion, which a lot of larger companies do, there's some
Interesting.
sort
We
of
don't.
document you fill out, for example,
Okay.
of like, here is the promotion I'm going for, here are our company values, and here is how I'm representing these company values through the work that I'm doing. If you're looking to get a promotion, say in the next year, you better be starting to fill out that document now. Reason
Ooh.
being is it's going to immediately identify the gaps you currently have. And you're working with your manager to say, I want this promotion. I'm letting you know that I want this promotion. I don't have this experience. What would you like to see over the next year to prove that I have this experience? And then you also have a documentation trail of all the work that you've been doing. And if for whatever reason, like you end up not at that company, you have this really fantastic document to align with your resume as well, because it shows your best accomplishments.
Mm-hmm. I love that. If somebody doesn't know if they have that, who should they ask?
Their manager.
Probably a good
And
question.
perhaps like the people team, like your HR team might have
Yeah.
some guidance on that too.
Interesting. Does
And
Zapier have
and
that? Does Zapier
yeah,
have that? Or they
Zapier
do?
does have that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've gone through the process a few times. Oh, we have a Tego.
This is absolutely unhinged.
Yeah. I
love that. All right. So talked about promotion. Anybody have any questions about promotion? I saw Roxy say earlier, the comments have been coming quick. I saw Roxy say something like about how this is helping her for her interview. So shout out Roxy for your
next meeting. Yeah.
next meeting. Yeah. Is there anything, let me ask you this. Is there any questions employees could ask their managers? I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. I'm just going to say statement and then I need you to unpack it.
Okay.
Talking about raises and promotions is not weird.
Correct. Yeah.
Don't let that hold you back.
Yeah. So one of the things that I I teach in my course on management fundamentals is these different types of performers. It's the same half, like first 2/3 of the talk I gave yesterday at Lead Dev, that you can range from low performer to high performer. There's 2 different types of high performers. And to focus on that for a second, you got rock stars and superstars. There are your superstars that are very much steady, stable growth. They're going deeper in their skill set, but they're not necessarily striving for that next level. They're absolutely necessary for your team because they provide stability. Rock stars, on the other hand, are those who are always striving for that next level. They're much more in tune with the gaps that they currently have in their skill set, whether it's technical or interpersonal, and they're actively seeking opportunities to push outside their comfort zone to get that next promotion. You typically see those who are seeking a promotion are going to be rock stars. They're the ones who are performing at a high level at their organization, and they're seeking those opportunities to continue to grow. If you're not at that level, you're going to find it very, very hard to get that next promotion. Because if you're like a medium performer, that means you're doing your job, and medium performers also provide stability for a team, and that's great. But the medium performers are not going to be taken into consideration for promotions because they're not pushing outside of those boundaries. So kind of looping back to your question about like, it's not weird to talk about promotions or it's not weird to talk about raises with your manager as well. I guarantee like your manager is also probably thinking about it from themselves too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have this weird kind of mentality, and especially in like the Western world, to like shy away from talking about money, shy away from talking
also
about
how
like,
I was raised Southern Baptist. So like I was told to not talk about people's salaries. And then my first job is recruiting, be like, hey, how much do you make?
Exactly. Talk about exposure therapy.
Yeah.
So it's not weird. Like it's necessary to have these conversations. And again, this is where that icky feeling you have to overcome that through practice. And that's when you can practice with your manager to say, I'm interested in understanding. Like, if you don't want to talk like, I want more money and this is how much I want, a great way to start kind of opening the door to this is like, I am curious of what the next level looks like for me. In your opinion, where should I be focusing my efforts on to continue to improve both my skill set and the skill set for the company?
Yeah. I think too, I think one of these, Mark, it's good to see you, by the way, jumping in. It's been a while. I think so one thing I do with my boss, I have a new boss, Mess. I miss you. If you ever watch this, I doubt you're watching. Mess is now just owning product and engineering because bless his heart, he had too much on his plate trying to deal with me as well. Yeah. One thing I always ask is, what do you want to see more of me? What do you want? What do you want more out of me? What am I missing? Am I missing anything? Am I lacking anything? I think we want the raises, but we shy away from feedback.
Yes.
I think we want the raises, but we shy away from honest, truthful feedback.
Yes. We all say we love feedback, but we really want you to tell me I'm doing a great job.
Yeah. And here's the deal. I'm not great with it either. I'm just going to say it, right? Like there have been times where I'm like, by the way, we get some questions. So we'll get to that in a second. Pat, I saw your one question and Trey's asked question. Like there have been times where I want feedback and then my manager tells me feedback, whether it's a Mess or my new manager, Griff. I'm like, ooh, that things, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's hard to do, but I would say it's another touch point to see where you're lacking. If you are never asking your boss, where am I lacking? You are missing out on the opportunity for you to improve yourself and then potentially know why you're not getting a raise.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will also tell you this. A lot of managers are probably nervous to give you the feedback.
Yeah.
And so if you are the one, say what?
Giving feedback is a skill. Speaking of things you have to practice.
Yeah.
People are really bad at giving constructive feedback, especially, again, in certain cultures, they're really, really nervous about saying something critical to you because they don't want to hurt your feelings.
Yes, absolutely. So again, like if you can drive that conversation, that would be huge. Huge. All right, let me get to questions. And comments here.
Got a bunch of them.
There's the other side where there's do not give the feedback to those actual feedback. Well, that is what you define as a bad leader.
Those are the people who should take my course.
There you go.
I teach a course on management fundamentals.
Yeah, I was waiting for you. I was like, and go.
I know it's there. Yeah. I can, if you go to my website, kvlly.com, you can find a link to it you can also find at modernleader.is because I maintain 2 websites because why not?
Is that it?
Yep. Yeah,
Cool.
I think it's linked to the top.
Trey, how you may have already said this, but how do you go about increasing your workload and responsibilities to demonstrate your abilities? Who to talk to? What kind of work should you look to do?
That's a very good question.
Great.
Starting with the second question, I mean, what are you looking to achieve? Like that's a very important question to answer first. Like, what kind of work you want your work to, one, be interesting to you, two, continue to build a skill set you don't currently have or you want to improve upon, and three, make a difference in a business. Like what business value is this opportunity going to provide? As far as going about increasing your workload and responsibilities, ask for it.
Yeah.
And also
Just
you
ask.
sometimes need to acknowledge and be like, look, I know I have a lot on my plate, but I'm really, really interested in doing this thing. And I want to do both of these things concurrently.
Yeah. For me, you know, Trey, if you were on my team, you'd be like, I want more work. I'd be like, cool. What do you want to do? And I would be like, go do it.
Also, like, don't wait for your manager to tell you what to do. And that's the thing. Like, I have so much going on in my head at any given time, especially with the number of direct reports I have right now. That
how many direct reports do you have now?
I think I'm at 12 at the moment, or 13. It's temporary. I'm interim EMing for another team right now. But I do have 2 additional engineers starting on Monday, which I'm super excited about.
Ooh, that's crazy. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, just ask. Again, I'm not a developer. I'm not an engineering manager. What we do is a little bit more qualitative, a little bit more soft skills. So it's a little easier to say, just go. But to me, I think, driving conversation. If you like every one-on-one I have with my upper leadership, I have at least 2 to 3 bullet points I want to talk about every time. If you are walking into a meeting with your leader and do not have stuff written down to talk about, you are missing out tremendously. Like literally, I have a call today with the head of recruiting for Ronstadt. You best believe I got some things I want to talk about, right? You should be driving those meetings, right? The way I start out every meeting with my leaders that are above me, I go, hey, what do you have? What do you have for me right now? Let's start with you. You know what everybody typically says? I got nothing. What do you got?
Yep.
Right. So
the more you can do, like that is valuable time with your manager.
Valuable.
And like you should absolutely take full advantage of that. And especially if you're doing like a skip level one-on-one, like if you can have an opportunity to meet with your boss's boss, you better come prepared to that.
For me, technically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, quite a few other questions.
Right, if you're at a small company, if you're at a small company, startup without that process, aka Torque, how can you advocate for a position that doesn't exist or isn't at a company yet? So this is definitely from a leadership perspective. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I obviously have been actively doing this myself. So
if the job description doesn't exist, you get to write the job description and explain the value that it brings to the business, and then explain how the skills you have map to this and why you would like to do this. I've done this before. I've made this pitch before. It did not go well, which is fine. Like the opportunity wasn't there, but I learned a ton from that opportunity, especially to say like, okay, this actually makes me also realize I'm not happy in my current role and something needs to change. So if the role does not exist or that structure does not exist, you take ownership of that. And that is like the thing that I look for in like an exceptional employee versus a good employee is what are you doing that's proactive? What are you proactively pushing towards to elevate the business, to elevate your own career? And this is the type of thing you should be doing.
So I can't believe I'm going to say this. This is where I'm at in my career. PowerPoints.
Okay. Okay.
Are you
creating the PowerPoint or is somebody creating it for you?
You should create it.
Okay.
As a leader to get buy-in. So I've had to create buy-in being at Torque, right? Like community is a vague thing. And everybody views community differently. So I have all of these PowerPoint presentations on like, what is community? What does community look like for what we're trying to do? How does community affect upstream? How does community affect? I have all, and also shout out Excel-a-Draw. I'm not sponsored. If you want to sponsor, let me know. I use it. I draw things now. like graphs, right?
It's
So
how I brain dump. Yes.
it's crazy. Yeah, same. I got a bunch of like sketch. Use Excel Draw too?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I've done
So
like I will be like, this is why my role doesn't make sense within the org, and this is how I think we should reorg. And now I'm going to copy paste what you have and just like reorg everybody and be like, this is why I think this is what we should aim towards. Totally.
yeah. Team Google Slides. Nick popped in. Team Google Slides. Yeah, I think. And so at Vaco, we never did slides. I even asked, I had lunch with Jake Shepard, by the way, or breakfast before I left Raleigh. And
Oh, fun.
I was like, are y'all using slides at Vaco? He's like, not really. What I've realized is I chat GPT'd. I was like, why do people like slides? Why can't we just vibe out on a call? And here's what chat GPT said to put everything in perspective. If it's on the slide, you own the idea. If it's on the slide, it's yours. It is your idea. You own it. You claim it. And I think that is incredibly important. Now, I'm not saying that every one-on-one, again, this is coming from a leadership perspective, this question. If you are trying to create buy-in, reminder, I've gotten a new boss recently. I have this long PowerPoint, and literally he was like, this is great. This is great. He had no questions.
Great.
So there you go.
Yeah. Like if it's not in a PowerPoint, a half-page document. Like
yes, something
it has
visual.
to be written down also, because like, yeah, when we're in a meeting, it's going in one ear and out the other. And that's by nature of who I am as a person. And I do have like my AI note takers and everything, which are super helpful, by the way. I use
Granola.
What do you
use? Who do you use? I use Granola.
I love Granola. I love Granola so much. Now, hashtag not sponsored as well, but like
Granola
I use this for everything.
From a partnership perspective, I think they could do a lot more if they sponsored us.
I was just going to say there was a small chance that this was actively recording right now, but it is not.
I know. What if you can't provide the promotion or raise as a manager, but you want to keep the staff? Emmett, thank you for literally asking the question. That is Kelly's talk.
That is literally the second half of the talk I gave yesterday. Yes. So there are certain motivational levers you have to start to pull when you're working with folks that you want to keep, but you can't provide the promotion. And honestly, one of the first things that you should really do here is be entirely honest about why you can't provide that promotion.
100%.
I've been in situations where they're like, well, you don't technically qualify for the raise due to like your timing, but I also want you to double your workload. I'm like, you can't, both things can't be true. So find what motivates them. Is that giving them bigger, better opportunities that push them outside of their comfort zone? Is that acknowledgement and celebration of their milestones? Is that, like finding an opportunity for them to pair with somebody else to teach them what they know? Like you have to figure out what drives them and what motivates them, because a lot of times people also just expect that the promotion is that next step. This is a conversation I have a lot with people, especially when they're going from senior to staff engineer. The staff engineering role is fundamentally different from a senior engineer. It is fundamentally different. And I think there are times when people don't realize that a promotion changes the work expectations of you. And like, is this actually the work that you're looking to do? Or are you looking for a raise and you want to continue to grow at that level? There are people who are terminal senior engineers, and that's fantastic. Like if you really enjoy hands on the keyboard, you want to get deep into the code, but you want to be really good at that, you're not necessarily going to seek a staff engineering role if that staff engineer at your company is focused more on system design and cross-team collaboration and like thinking through the gnarlier projects where you're not really writing much code. It's a very different role. And so it's important to understand, why are you seeking that promotion? I understand why you're seeking a raise. Like, I think we all want more money. That's not always available. And also, like, the more you can be honest about the timing, like, let's say we're actively fundraising right now, and so we cannot give raises at this moment. If you're honest about that, then great. If you're kind of coming up with some like lukewarm, reason as to why somebody's not eligible for a raise, it breaks the trust with that team member. Mm-hmm. So at least be honest with them as much as you can.
I would say one of my weaknesses as a boss is probably oversharing details that I probably shouldn't share. But what I mean, shocker. But I would say one thing that has allowed me to do is my teams have, and this is at Vaco, right? I wasn't managing anybody at Gun. I was an IC, but like at Vaco, it created buy-in. Like if I was open to everybody, all the time, and then I say, hey, we can't work on raises during this time because of so and so, then like I got way more buy-in. And so I think from a leadership perspective, you do you on how you want to communicate.
Yeah.
But to me, I've been under so many managers, not at Torque, that have never communicated to me what's happening up top, and I have felt so lost, and I never want that for my teams
No,
ever. So
completely agree.
I've heard one-on-one should be more of a brag sheet and how to discuss. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like if depending on how often you have your one-on-ones. How often do you have your one-on-ones, Kelly?
Right now I'm bi-weekly, and then I'm weekly with my manager. I'm bi-weekly with my direct reports because I have so many of them, and I meet weekly with my manager.
You like alternate, right? So like one group 1 week, the other group the other week.
Yeah, and I tell them, like, on your quote unquote off week, if you need to meet with me, please put time on my calendar. Like, that doesn't mean that you can't meet with me.
Sure.
But this is just to make it so I'm not in one-on-ones for 25% of my entire work week.
Yeah. Also, I love how we've already been on this thing for 45 minutes. What in the world?
How did that happen?
Actually, Kelly texted me at 9. She goes, "You want to get on and yap early?" So we've actually been going now for an hour and 15 together.
We have.
I was doing. Hold on. Taylor said this a lot lately. You have to do the job before you get it. I've done that. Kelly's grabbing that right now. And then he goes, true. I was doing DevRel in full-time engineering. Yeah. And I have been doing social media and recruiting full-time for the longest time. And then I was able to transition into this, right? So, hold on. Just kind of getting through here. All right, cool. Let's talk. We got to talk job search real quick because it's me and you, and that's what we do. Always. Where are people missing the mark right now? Just like with what you're seeing, resumes, interviews. Yeah. Is there any consistent themes?
I think that I've been doing a lot more job fit interviews, like hiring manager interviews.
Sure.
And we do things a little bit different at Zapier because we're hiring for so many roles. So you might be interviewing somebody who's not going to end up on your team, which is totally fine. Again, bit larger company, this is pretty typical. Sure. One of the things that I think I've been seeing lately of where folks are missing the mark is that you can tell there's a lack of like practice or refinement in their answers. And we've already talked about this, like this is one of those things where you have to practice interviewing to get better at it. And the problem is, and I do the same thing, like when I'm nervous, when I'm anxious about something, I hyper focus on like one example or one word and I keep on saying it. And if this was like a drink every time I say this word, you'd be dead kind of situation, like the way you get out of that is to practice your interviewing skills more and more. And yes, part of the interviewing process is interviewing sucks. I did it 6 months ago. It's not fun. I understand. I've been on both sides of that. You've been on both sides of that as well. The more you can practice, the more refined you're going to come across in your answers. And when there are so many applicants and only so many jobs, you have to find a way to stand out.
Yeah, I think, I mean, listen, I want to tell this story real fast. I interviewed at Shopify because they were looking for like kind of a director of recruiting, which I could have easily slid into. But I guess literally the guy goes, "You gave all the wrong answers."
Okay.
And he was like, I was like, "All right, sounds good." Like, and the reason why I say that is because like, even I like literally by definition shit the bed. Like literally he goes, "You answered everything the complete opposite I would, but all of your reasoning was great."
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, I want to say that because even, I know people look at me with all this streaming and the social media and blah, like it still sucks. Like interviewing still sucks, right? I want to tell you to encourage you that I mean, I'm sure Kelly has gotten rejected a lot, right? And it's never ever.
I've gotten every single job I've interviewed for in my life. I mean, but you're making a really important point there is like, it does not matter how much you prepare for these things. Sometimes like you can't know exactly what they're going to ask, and you can't know exactly what they're looking for in those answers all the time.
Yep.
And you can over prepare for an interview. There is such thing as
Oh,
preparing for an
facts.
interview.
Sometimes
Because
it's
what
not.
happens, yeah. And what happens is like you over prepare in a way that you're like, this is what they're going to ask me. And I like totally know how to answer these questions. You get in there and they throw some left field question and you just freeze out because you're like, I didn't practice this one question.
Yeah.
If you've ever done public speaking, it's the same thing. If you try to practice a talk verbatim, you're going to trip up when you miss one of those words or you miss a sentence and you miss a cue. And then you're like, I don't know where I left off because I lost track of my script.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I had another thought too. Oh, Naz. So listen. Oh, no. Naz, like I had a major stuttering problem growing up. Major. And I will say this. I think first off, like my biggest advice is just slow down.
Yep.
Right? Slow down. As somebody who had a stutter, slow down. You know, I talk really fast. I did not get to this point overnight, right? Like TikTok does this thing where it pushes all this stuff you posted like a over the years. Even my stuff 5 years ago was not near as good as it is now. It's just going to take time. I will also tell you this, and I like what Naz is doing. I actually shouted her out in my keynote in Raleigh. She's a part of the tort community. One of the biggest things that I keep seeing and keep hearing from devs is getting good at talking while coding.
Interesting.
And
okay.
so even if it's just getting on Twitch or Naz is doing YouTube, like just get comfortable talking about why you're doing things when you're doing it. Right. I think that is the I think that's the big unlock right now for interviews, I feel like.
It's fair. I will say that. I will say multitasking is a very difficult thing, and nobody is actually a really good multitasker. Your attention is, you only have so much attention.
My wife would agree with you on that for me, 100%.
Yeah. Because I'm same way, like reading the comments that are coming in and also talking.
Yeah.
I'm like, squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else? Anything else you're seeing for interviewing right now? Do people know what Zapier do at least? At least they're doing research on the company, or are you still getting people who don't know what the company does?
No, I'm definitely getting people who are, exploring what Zapier does, which is great. It's one of those things where like I understand that you're interviewing with a bunch of different companies. Fingers crossed you have a bunch of interviews, and so you might not be going super deep into any particular thing, but like if you have a general idea of what who Zapier is as a company, and you don't like completely give the wrong company description, then great. I'm glad you did some research, but I also know that things happen. The other thing I will mention, as we're just kind of like looping things around both to hiring and also to promotions, a no now is not a no forever.
Yes, totally agree.
This goes for in a couple directions. If you get a rejection on a promotion, find out why, work towards filling those gaps, and go for it the next time. I know rejection sucks. Same thing with hiring and interviewing. If you get rejected for a particular role at a company that you really want to join, there are more roles at that company. That one might have just not been the right fit for you. And don't completely 100%. Write off a company because you got rejected one time. 100%. To be honest, most of us, like, especially at larger companies, now that I've actually been at a larger company, we don't really remember every single thing, or different people are interviewing. And so we're looking for different things. And so don't let one rejection kind of like push you off and be like, oh, this company will never hire me because I didn't do well in this interview.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Let me ask you this then. How should people follow up, right? Because I think that's the hardest part, right? So let's say I interview with your team. You don't like me. You reject me.
Yeah.
You would never do that. How should I approach following up?
So fun fact, that is actually how I got the job at Zapier.
No way. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I interviewed at Zapier few years ago for a director of engineering role for an org that no longer exists at the company. And at the time, like, I wasn't a good fit for it. And I understand why.
Sure.
I have 2 more years of experience on top of that. And then I saw this opportunity open up and I'm like, oh, this is definitely up my alley. I reached right out to the same person I interviewed last time. And I was like, hey, I know it wasn't the right time, but I was really, really interested in the company, been a fan of the company, been a customer for a decade, would love to have another conversation with you. Here's my updated resume.
Yep.
And absolutely. Here I am 6 months later, employed.
It's crazy. Yeah. 100%. I mean, same thing with me with all things open. I got rejected for 5 years in a row. And
Oh
literally
yeah.
last year, I was like, I'm not going to submit. It's stupid. I was like, well, it's just going to take 2 seconds. So I did it, got accepted, crushed
Yeah.
it. When I mean, it just, I was talking to Jason about it, like in the hotel room. I was like, what if I never applied? None of this would have happened.
Yeah.
So like, just keep trying, keep trying. All right. Do you want to plug Ladybug real quick?
Yes. So I have been co-hosting a podcast for several years now, but Ladybug Podcast is back this season. It's Emma and myself talking all things engineering management. We think we released 6 or 7 episodes already for the season, which is super exciting. You can find it at ladybug.dev. We are about to pass the 1 million streams mark. Like we are really, really, really close to it, and I cannot wait to see us kind of tick over
That's
that
cool.
line.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so highly, highly recommend giving it a listen. So we're focusing on engineering management right now, but we have like 6 or 7 other seasons of highly like technical, like tech career and code, all kinds
for
of
real?
content.
Like just like in the back burner?
Things that we've already released.
Oh yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Some of it is, of course, outdated. Anytime you talk tech, I connected our RSS feed for the podcast into YouTube because people were asking for the podcast there. And what it ended up doing is re-uploading all of the audio with new dates. And somebody commented being like, we did like an intro to React 4 years ago, and we're talking about Create React
And now
app.
it
And they're like,
just pushed.
exactly. And they're like, oh, wow, Create React app
That's
is
great.
really ancient. I'm like, yes, it is. It's also a very old episode.
That's great. I love that. That's awesome. All right. So rapid fire here. And again, for those of you who tune in, thank you so much. I always appreciate everybody tuning in. If you have any questions, please ask them as we kind of wrap up here. This is the one chance where you can get Kelly focused and ask some questions. Yeah, this is it. What's one tech tool or app that you can't live without right now?
Ooh, you know why? I already mentioned it, but right now it's granola. I literally cannot live without granola. I'm in so many meetings right now that there have been times when I'm in a meeting and I'm like, I know I talked about this somewhere. I can pull up the search. It's going to search through all my transcripts and summarize what it was I talked about. What did I say I was going to do?
Yeah, I still think maybe you and I talk like offline. I still am not using it. I feel like I need to. They just added like recipes where you can but like I still feel like I'm not using it correctly. So maybe I need to talk with you about it. Anyways, granola, love it. What's the very first job? I don't think I've ever asked you these questions since I did it. Since I created these, so it's gonna be fun. What's the very first job you ever got paid to do?
Not counting like babysitting.
Yeah, not babysitting.
Okay. So my first job then would have been a part-time employee over the summer at my dad's office where I was digitizing documents.
Oh,
so we could go through an audit.
Oh.
And I did not understand how to work. It was great. I was like, can I leave? Like, I'm done with my work.
That's crazy, right?
What are those things?
Let me ask you this. As a manager, I was going to sunset this question because it didn't quite make sense, but I think it makes sense talking to you because you're a manager. If you could have it your way, not to be confused with, is that Burger King or McDonald's? If you could have it your way, what type of cadence would you like for people in the office remote? Like, do you want to go back into the office? Do you like being fully remote? Like, what's kind of your thoughts on just in-person versus remote right now?
If I had it my way, I would have an office to go to if I wanted to go to it, but I don't have to go to it. There are no fixed
I'm surprised the app here doesn't have anything in Atlanta, to be honest with you. Everybody else does.
Technically, there was a co-working space that came in, like an office inside a co-working space that came in through an acquisition. It is the only office that Zapier is actively paying for. So I love to say that the largest office at Zapier is like it holds 3
people. A co-working spot.
Yeah, exactly. I love having a remote job, but I miss people.
I do too. I also think if you got me, Jason, and Brianna together consistently, no work would get done ever.
No work. Yeah, you think like we're going to be so efficient. No.
Not at all. Yeah, I do miss it. I think if I were to set my schedule, I think I'd probably like 2 days in person.
Okay.
The problem is that and I've talked about this. Was I talking with Nick Taylor in Raleigh? Was like, because I stream so much, like I would need an office. Like I'm just constantly streaming in meetings. So like I
Yeah.
couldn't like be in an open workplace. So anyways, when you were young, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I growed up.
When you growed up.
Ooh, that's a good question. And my sister's in here, so Katie, if you have an answer for me that I'm not thinking about, please tell me. So I don't know. Like it's hard to say. Like I always was interested in the medical field.
Okay, same.
But
Same.
my whole career has been stemmed from the fact that I never wanted to code for a living, which is why it's ironic that I'm now an
Yeah, you got
engineering
it.
major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like that's why my degrees are in public health, social work, psychology, because that was originally my plan.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. What's a career mistake you're oddly grateful for? This kind of gets some people, but
Yeah. Oh, yes, easy. Have you ever tried to run 2 companies at the same time? You can imagine how
what was that? Well, who Tap Room and what else?
The other startup that I co-founded, Cavallo.
Yeah.
I had this dream of moving into like a product company, and I was really tired of agency life, but I didn't want to shut it down. And the biggest like regret I have of this is if I had let it go earlier, like even like 6 months prior, I could have sold the company for 7 figures. Instead, I ended up in 6 figures of debt. So,
are you serious?
It's gone. The debt's gone. Like, but that always sits in the back of my mind. But like,
that's great. What, did you have a buyer come by and you were like, no, I'm gonna keep trying to do it? Yes. Were you a little hard headed?
I had multiple people being like, we're super interested in buying your agency.
No way. That's crazy. And Taproom was what again? Remind me. It's been a minute.
Shopify Plus agency. Yeah. It's a Shopify Plus agency. So focus on development of like custom themes and apps.
Yeah. How do you handle a team saying collaboration, but when you come into the
depends what that collaboration is. What kind of collaboration are you looking for?
Yeah.
Is it sitting on Zoom meetings together?
Yeah, because I know that's the biggest problem I have with like people going on site where it's like you're just wanting to justify your rent. Let's just call it what it is. And everybody's either not there in Zoom calls. So yeah, that's it's tough. Next question. If you weren't in tech right now, but the money would be the same, what would you be doing?
I would be a travel influencer.
I could see that 100%. I could see that. Yep.
Yeah.
And then the second last question. I know the answer to this. Coffee or tea?
There's a little bit left, but it's coffee.
Hot or iced?
Iced. Always. I am like iced in the wintertime.
There you go. Yep. Kelly and I definitely bonded over that. All right. Last question. The show's called Guidance Counselor 2.0 because we had guidance counselors in middle school, college, and as adults, we don't really have them. What would be your biggest piece of career advice to young Kelly if you were to go back in time?
If I were to go back in time, I would say like trust your gut on your ability to lead early. I got ahead of I started because I was a leader at a young age. And I let my age kind of take over my idea of like the imposter syndrome was really strong. Like, I don't deserve to be here because I'm so young. And I had people telling me that, well, you're still in college, so I don't have to pay you as much. And I'm like, doesn't matter what, that I'm still in college. I'm providing a skill. And it was a hard thing that I had to learn early on.
Yep. I love it. All right, y'all. Well, again, thank y'all so much for hanging out with us today. I always love Friday session. I don't do them a ton, but I feel like the engagement's through the roof, and it was. So thank y'all so much. Next week, we got one on the docket. Next week, I'm going live with Matt Stauffer. He runs he's CEO, hiring manager with the Laravel Consulting Company. Met him at Denver with Laracon, so that's gonna be a great conversation. He recently did a laid off lounge in our Discord. It went over great. So go connect with Kelly, kvlly.com. Join her leadership class thing you do.
I have a newsletter, modernleader.is.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Ladybug podcast. Just check it all out. kvlly.com. Y'all have a good one. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next
Peace.
week. Peace.